Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. Happy solstice. Joyeuse fête de la musique. Oh, come on. Olivier was the only one, and my son. Oh, you said it too? All right, great. Okay. No. So, is it coincidence? I doubt it. Is it synchronistic? I think so. That Olivier and I chose today to be the Music Shabbat because today is also Fête de la Musique, which is World Music Day. I know. And considering we have a French rabbi, this holiday of World Music Day was established in France. So you see, it all comes back around. All right, we are going to start with my Altoid, or her Altoid. We are going to start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. Page 1, Romemu, and let the music begin. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'har kodsho.
Shabbat Shalom. It is true, I grew up with La Fête de la Musique. Was it in 80 what? In 80? In 82. So I was... And I think it's no mistake that the French government decided to do that on the day of the solstice, the longest day of the year. So in France, what happens, I don't know in other places, but in France what happens is that any musician that lives in your city can set up shop on any sidewalk, at any crossword, anywhere in the city. So you could walk anywhere and there'll be music playing everywhere. It's really amazing. And you can play until whenever, the whole day. And it's sponsored by the state and therefore by also the cities. There's money that is, to help the singers set up. And it's really just an incredible day and a great showcase of the talents in your city and in your country. And I just remember we spent the days walking downtown, just going from one little hub of musicians to the next one. It's a great celebration. It's a great celebration. Tonight is also a great celebration. We're doing again. Last time we did it 2 years ago, our Music Shabbat. And it's one of the times, the once a year, where we actually are going to walk ourselves through the entire prayer book, at least the first few pages. And we'll discover every prayer that over decades, many singers have lended their talent to transforming into singable blessings and prayers. The first one, actually, we did one already, Romemu, but the next one we're going to do together is Lecha Dodi. It's on page 3. Lecha Dodi was written some 500 years ago. 500 years ago. The rabbi who wrote this is actually written right there on your page, Rabbi Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz. He was one of the greatest Kabbalists that ever lived. He was born in 1500 in Salonika, and then 35 years later, he moved to the center of the Kabbalah in the 16th century. In 1535, he moved to Tzfat, what's usually called Safed, in the northern part of Israel, just above the lake of Tiberias, in the northern part of Israel. And he met there some of the most amazing Kabbalistic teachers. He himself was already, by the time he got to Tzfat, he was already a very renowned, famous Kabbalist. He was, along the way, he stopped in Turkey and he taught there Kabbalah, and he had a huge following. So by the time he goes to Tzfat and he meets some of the greatest Kabbalists that were ever known, some of them are Joseph Caro and, of course, Isaac Luria. One of his students actually there was Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, which will become the greatest Kabbalist in the next generation. And Rabbi Alkabetz was always looking for ways to get into altered states of consciousness, to meet the divine. And he did that through meditations, did that through teachings and intense prayerful moments. And he also did that with singing, because like a lot of Kabbalists, the belief was that you could use singing to really transcend the mind. Like the music opened the heart. And once your heart is open, it's an easier way to enter into those states of consciousness. And he wrote this song, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. And at the time, in the 1500s, that was the song that all the schools of Kabbalah sang as Shabbat began. They went out in the fields and in the hills around them, and they almost took the song literally. And the song speaks of welcoming the Shabbat bride. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, welcoming the Shabbat bride into your heart, into your synagogue, into the day of Shabbat. Now, Lecha Dodi, it's very interesting. If you really look at what he was trying to set up, Dodi is a masculine word that refers in a very friendly way to a masculine entity that would be a masculine entity. And so we understand that what he was trying to do is he was trying to call God, the transcendent divine masculine, as Dodi, as like a befriending that idea, befriending that concept, like getting into a relationship with the divine transcendent masculine, as if it was a cousin or an uncle. In fact, the word Dod in Hebrew means uncle, so it was like calling God the divine transcendent masculine in a very like your family kind of thing. Lecha Dodi, so for you, divine masculine, Likrat Kala, as you journey towards the Kala is the bride, and the Kala is the divine feminine, the Kala is the Shekhinah. And there is this sense in Kabbalah all the time that what we are doing on Shabbat is working towards unifying the polarities, transcending the polarities, transcending the dualistic consciousness in which we live on the rest of the week. But on Shabbat, you want to unify the divine transcendent masculine and the immanent divine feminine. And that union is celebrated as a marriage. And that's why the Shekhinah, the divine feminine, is called the Kala. And every Shabbat is a wedding, is the wedding of the opposites, is the marriage of the transcendent with the immanent, of the good and the evil, of the dark and the light. This is the day to let go of duality and know ourselves Know the oneness of being that each of us embody beyond the illusion of separation. Lechadodi. We're going to sing 3 of all the stanzas. There's a lot of stanzas. We're going to sing 3. Which one did you say we were going to do?
We're going to go Shama v'Zachor.
So the first one.
And then the third one.
And then Mikdash.
No, Mikdash Melech.
Mikdash Melech. So
And
the
then
first, the
Boi-
third,
Boi
and-
v'Shalom.
and then the last one, which is on page 4. Now, if you know a little bit of Hebrew, some of you know because I teach a Hebrew class right now, and I know who you are. This is written as an acrostic. So what Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz did is that he wrote his name. Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz wrote his name with the first Hebrew letter of each of the stanzas. So Shin, Lamed, Mem, and He, that's Shlomo. And then He, Lamed, Vav, Yud, that Halevi, Shlomo Halevi. So he wrote his name as he wrote the song. It's like a painter would write his name on the painting. He wrote his name inside the song.
And on the last verse.
So the last verse, because we're welcoming the Shabbat bride, I'm going to ask you to rise for her and turn towards the door as if she was walking down the aisle to meet us on this Shabbat. So I'll let you know when it's time. You can get up if you want. Hey!
עצרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה טוב אמונה עם סגולה בואי חלה
And just so you know, if you don't know the words of the prayers, since we are going to have a lot of singing today, Yai Dai Dai is good for everything. Because this is, this is about participating. This is about joining in together. In a moment, I will be asking those members of our community who are lighting candles tonight to come forward. But before that, I wanted to remind us as we enter into Shabbat every time that this is also the moment that we open our hearts and remind ourselves of the darkness also in the world. Though we celebrate with great joy, in Jewish tradition we always keep track of the opposite of the joy as well, that not all of us are as lucky and blessed as we are. And so every Shabbat, as we enter into Shabbat, it is our tradition to share of the abundance in our life with those who are in need. It's called tzedakah. Tzedakah is a word that is usually translated as charity, but in fact it is really an act of justice. So this month we have been supporting with tzedakah we collect on Shabbat, on Friday night, an organization called Peace for the Streets by kids from the streets. And that organization, which is a local organization, has as a mission to support homeless youth, homeless young adults, and you'd be surprised, but there's too many of them in our streets today. Some of them, if you sometimes walk down the Ave near the University of Washington, you would see a lot of people who are even attending UW, and are homeless at the same time. So we support this organization with whatever you share with us. We have a tzedakah box, which is right in front of those doors in this corner. And I'm inviting you now, if you're not lighting candles, to find your way to that box and share whatever you can tonight with those who are in need. The rest of you, please come forward. We continue as you guys come up to light the candles for our Shabbat with a song on page 4, at the bottom of page 4, called Ma Gadlu. If you're here for the first time, we invite members of our community to light candles on Shabbat to share with us whatever they are celebrating, honoring, remembering. And Susan is going to tell us why she's lighting candles tonight, because she didn't make it to my little sheet here.
I'm celebrating my new home on Orcas Island. I'm also in honor of the visit of my dear friend from the Canary Islands who's with us tonight.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome. You have friends? Okay. And next to Susan is Ellen Lyons, who is lighting a candle in celebration of the first mile she has swum after years hiatus not being able to swim. A mile. Wow. Okay. How much? 43 minutes. Wow. Good for you. Next we have Barbara Klein, who's going to raise her hand, and her daughter Liz Wingfield, and her niece Molly Mullen, who are the three of them are there tonight to light candles in memory of husband, father, and uncle Sheldon Klein in honor of his yahrzeit. And next to Barbara is David Krupkin, and David is lighting on behalf of John Danker in memory of John's mother, Aileen Mary Danker, in honor of her yahrzeit as well. And on our left is Shelley Cohen. Oh, I'm so delighted. Shelley is lighting a candle to celebrate his son and daughter-in-law having adopted a foster to adopt son. His name is Tristan. And they're all living in Stockton, California, and Shelley will be there in September to celebrate Tristan's birthday. Congratulations. I know you were looking forward to that for a long, long time. Oh, so many blessings. And you know, I love candle lighting is probably one of my favorite part of our Shabbat services. I probably would say that to every part of our Shabbat service, but like it shows the humanity in all of us. It shows the truth of whatever it is each of us is going through in life. Some of us are mourning loss of dear ones and remembering them year after year, time after time. Some others are celebrating births or adoption, which is like birth. You know, and it shows that that's all of our experience. Sometimes love comes with new birth, and sometimes love is celebrated at times of mourning and remembrance. But it's all love stories, all of them. So the words to bless, whatever it is you are blessing tonight, whatever it is you came to bless on this Shabbat, whatever candle you would have lit, the words of that blessing are back on page 1. And we cover our eyes to remind ourselves that that which we are kindling and blessing is awakening inside of us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Amen. Thank you. I invite you to please rise for the Baruch Hu on page 5. we say together, Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Bless the Eternal, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Blessed is the Eternal, the one who is blessing eternally. Please be seated. Before we get to the next song, which is also a story of love, it's at the bottom of page 5, Ahavat Olam, an everlasting love. I'd like us to read actually the English on top of page 6, and then we'll come back to the bottom of page 5. Join me. With an everlasting love, you have loved us as a people. With love, you have guided us with teachings and holy deeds, principles and just ways. Therefore, Eternal One, our God, upon lying down and upon arising, we rejoice in your Torah and your holy path, for they are our life and the length of our days, and upon them we will meditate day and night. You will never withdraw your love from us. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose love manifests in the people Israel.
Nasiach
Then we'll continue with the Shema. We'll just remain sitting. And to receive the words of the Shema this time. The 6 words that are not just the central affirmation of our tradition, but also the quintessential mantra for Jewish meditation. Words that appear in the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 5. Words that are immediately followed in Torah by the words of the BenHaim, which we also have on the page. So as we say these words, I invite you to open your heart to receiving, if you so choose, the truth that is embedded in them. Join me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. The eternal manifests as all that is. The eternal is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the name. The splendor of its presence shines eternally. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And join us in chanting the words of the BenHaim.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
At the top of page 7. Mi chamocha. Wonderful. You know, all of those prayers, like the Lecha Dodi, we didn't used to have Friday night Shabbat services. We never had Friday night Shabbat service. Well, never. For the longest time, we didn't have Friday night Shabbat services. Shabbat was Saturday, and that's what we did. But it was because of the Kabbalists, because of the people of Tzfat and Rabbi Alkabetz and Lecha Dodi, that suddenly they were material for us to sing and to enter into the day of Shabbat with great mindfulness and great ecstasy. And so a lot of the things were pieced together after, in the last 500 years to actually give us a Friday night Shabbat services. Some of the songs are actually poems from the time of the Spanish Jewish community before 1492, right? A lot of those, like the one we just read, those are like ancient poetry that were put together to create Shabbat services. And then they added a lot of the things from the Torah. And one of the verses they added from the Torah is one that is obviously relevant. It's the Veshamru, which is at the bottom of page 7, which we're going to sing together. Veshamru v'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat. And the children of Israel shall observe Shabbat, to make Shabbat through their generation. That's from the book of Exodus, chapter 31, verses 16 and 17, directly from the book. Because the rabbis who created those prayers specifically for Friday night wanted to let us know the importance of keeping Shabbat. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is from Ahad Aham, Achad Ha'am is a Jewish poet who lived in Israel, and he was deeply influential with the early stages of Israeli, I mean, it was before the State of Israel was created, it was in the early 1900s, with really creating Jewish poetry in Israel, Israeli literature. He is one of the few who insisted that Hebrew be the national language in Israel. You have to understand that the first waves of immigration to Palestine at the time, to the Ottoman Empire, right? The land that is called Israel now belonged to the Ottoman Empire. And when the Jews arrived there, they came from Western Europe. A lot of the influence of the early settlers in the land of Israel that will become eventually Israel were from Germany, Jews from Germany. And they wanted, and there was a huge debate the first few decades of the 20th century, whether the national language of Israel should be German. And the scholars that opened the Hebrew University in Jerusalem came from Germany. I mean, a lot of scholarship came from that part of the Jewish world. And so there was fierce debate. Can you imagine Israel speaking German today? It will be really interesting. I don't know what I would do in Hebrew school. There probably wouldn't be a Hebrew school. There would be German school. But Achad Ha'am wrote one of the most gorgeous lines that really helped me understand the meaning of Shabbat. He wrote, "More than the Jews have kept the Shabbat throughout their wanderings, it is the Shabbat that has kept us." Like, there's something about having that day where we gather together in community, when we celebrate with family at home. That is the day that we pass on the tradition. More than we have kept the Sabbath, the Shabbat has kept us. Veshamro is done standing, so I'm sorry, you have to stand.
Yamim Asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz Shamaru b'nei Israel et hashabat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולגדולה Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash. Hey! Shamaru b'nei Israel et hashabat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולגדולה. ושמרו
Good, we remain standing. I always wait for a few people to sit down to say that. I'm just evil. And we join together for the Amidah on page 8 and share together at the top of the page, Adonai, Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Join me, Eternal One, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Ve'Elohei חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol ata, Rav lehoshia, mechalkel chaim bechesed, מחכה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים והופך עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממיץ ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. And then we're going to continue with the Amidah. I'm going to ask you to please be seated, since we're going to sing a lot of it, and it's going to take us a little while. One that we are not going to sing together is the one on top of page 9, the Kedushat Hashem, the blessing that celebrates the holiness of being. And oftentimes it's easy to see that what we are calling out to be holy is that entity outside of ourselves, right? Only God can be holy. Only that which is not part of this world can be holy, because we know that this world is everything but holy. Well, what this blessing is actually inviting us into is realizing that the mistake of that perception. That in fact the divine is as much transcendent, formless, that it is each and every one of us, that it is everywhere and everything and everyone. And that oneness of being that expresses through all of life, through this entire universe, it can be nothing but holy. And I think the spiritual realization that the mystics anywhere in the world are inviting us into is in fact to realize that we are not broken, that we are holy. We are holy because each and every one of us is an expression, a manifestation of that oneness, the embodiment of that holiness. So maybe we can just read this in the English. We're not going to sing it, but so that we can connect with that. You are holy. Your name is holy. And through you, day after day, we remember our holiness by knowing your presence in our lives. Blessed are you, Eternal One. Holy presence, that presence that is all around us, but that presence that is also within us. One. Now the holiness of the day we sing. Yismechu. Those who keep Shabbat will rejoice in your presence. You can try to stay seated if you want. But you'll see, I mean, you're not going to be able to really very quickly.
Shabbat, zecher, zecher, למעשה בראשית שבת.
ישמחו!
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא, בונק שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת.
I told you couldn't stay seated. Now you can. The next two songs actually we're going to do, it's a special treat. Because we only get to do them for high holidays. So we take them out of the high holiday box, and we are going to share those two songs with you tonight. Sabenu mituvecha on page 9.
Sabenu, sabenu, sabenu mituvecha. Sabenu, sabenu, sabenu mituvecha. V'samach nafshenu b'yeshuatecha. Sabenu, sabenu, sabenu mituvecha. Shabbat Kodesh, V'Hanchilenu Hashem Eloheinu V'Avaha Uvratzon, V'Avaha Uvratzon, Shabbat Kodesh, Yai da 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 ya da da ya da da ya da 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 ya da da ya da da ya da 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 ya da da ya da da ya da 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 ya da da ya da da oh ya da 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 oh ya da 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 oh ya da 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 oh ya da 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 da
Now you can tell this is the kind of music that is there to help us get out of our minds. And we could do that song for half an hour, and everybody would start floating into the sanctuary. Actually, Dianna and I were talking about doing a Shabbat where all the music would be kind of like that, ecstatic and meditative. So look forward to that sometimes, maybe before the end of the year, the secular year. On top of page 10. I hope you're paying attention about the different parts of the Amidah. You know, we started with celebrating our lineage with the Avot and Imahot blessing. And then we steeped ourselves in connecting to the source of life. And then on top of page 9, we went to connecting with the holiness of being and the holiness of this day. This song we just heard was about being filled with the goodness of spirit, of source. And then the next song is moving us into practice. Right? There's a shift in the liturgy from realizing the oneness and opening ourselves to the holiness of it all. Now we say, okay, now what? Now we have to use that as practice. And the first practice is to be of service. See, the core of Judaism is not the pursuit of happiness. The core of Judaism is to make ourselves be in service of, ideally, as the Kabbalist would put it, of the manifestation and the recognition of the oneness of being in the world, our own, and then to spread that around so that that space could be realized to be sacred and holy. You know, we would stop treating the earth the way we do. We would stop treating the stranger the way we do if we understood the sacredness of it all. And so we Jews are called to be of service, to be in service of that awakening. That's our job. That's our work. Retse. The next practice is thanksgiving, is practicing gratitude. Modim anachnu, we are grateful, we are thankful. Let's just do this one in English at the bottom of page 10 together. We give thanks to you, Eternal One, the emptiness that manifests as form, our God and the God of our ancestors. From generation to generation, you are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation. We are grateful for our lives, always in your care, our soul entrusted to you, for your miracles, your abundant goodness that is with us each day, morning, noon, and night, for your ceaseless compassion and your never-ending loving kindness. Our hope is in you forever. Shalom Rav, it's on top of page 11.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tosim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tosim Leolam. Ki atah
It is true that we are blessed with gorgeous voices at Bet Alef. It is also true that we have an amazing piano player. I mean, that song was, wow, I loved it. Thank you. How do we practice shalom? Such a hard practice, because this comes towards the end of the Amidah now. And this whole page 11, is dedicated to practicing shalom, peace. Shalom doesn't just mean peace. Shalom means harmony, wholeness, completeness. How do we practice that in our lives? It's probably one of the greatest challenges, because the world is inviting us to take sides, to curse, to feel anger. To define on which side we stand, to burn bridges, to know ourselves almost by knowing who our enemy is. And it's always inviting us to lose ourselves in the outer distractions, in the outer concerns. It moves our consciousness outside and outside and outside, always sucked into this story or that story, the he said and she said and he tweeted and she posted and this Facebook post and this, and always we are moved towards the outer world, and the outer world is made of enemies. In places such as this, we are asked to rediscover the inner dimensions of our being, to cultivate inwardness. We do it through meditation, we do it through learning, we do it through study, and not just of our sacred texts, but of others' sacred texts, of those who disagree with us on this or on that. We expand our inner consciousness by opening ourselves to the words and the writings of others. And I think this is our challenge in this generation, to put down the cell phone, to shut down the computer, to turn off the TV, and to surround ourselves and deep dive into ideas and books and things that help us grow from within. And I think if we let go of our ability to grow from within, then we are condemned to be enslaved to the ideas of others, the short 5-syllable sentences and the headlines, to shape us, to manipulate us, and to split us. In fact, to practice peace and wholeness and harmony is to expand our consciousness to all points of views, to all modalities of worship and understanding. I'd like to read the next blessing before we sing it, the next song, Elohai Netzor. It's in the middle of page 11, and we'll read the English, and as the song begins, we'll enter into a time for meditation. But join me. Holy One, guard my tongue from evil and my lips from telling lies. To those who curse me, let my soul be silent. Open my heart to your Torah, and let my soul engage in your spiritual practices. May I turn from evil and to that what is good in your sight. May I act for the sake of your name, for the sake of your right hand, for the sake of your Torah, for the sake of your holiness, which is my holiness. Elohai Netzor.
Elohai nitzor leshoni mera usfatai medaber mirma vilim kalale nafshi tidom benafshi keafar lakol tihiye Elohai 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 nitzor leshoni mera usfatai medaber mirma vilim kalalai nafshi tidom benafshi keafar lakol tihiye Elohai 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 nitzor leshoni mera usfatai medaber mirma vilim kalalai nafshi tidom benafshi keafar lakol tihiye Elohai Elohai Petach libi Petach libi Petach libi Leshoni mera usfatai medaber mirma vilim kalalai nafshi tidom benafshi keafar lakol tihiye Elohai 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 nitzor leshoni mera usfatai medaber mirma vilim kalalai nafshi tidom benafshi keafar lakol tihiye Elohai Elohai
Uleratzonim reifim ve'egyon libi lefanecha Adonai 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 Tzuri Adonai
achieving inner peace is simply about letting whatever our experience is in the moment be exactly as it is. It's about holding our emotions, whatever they are right now, holding our thoughts in the clarity of awareness without collapsing into them, without identifying with them. It is about stepping into the awareness that includes all of our experience, but isn't identified with any of it. That awareness which observes all the thoughts, often contradictory thoughts, all the emotions, also oftentimes opposing each other, yet is not grabbed by them. That awareness which always remains neutral in its observing. That awareness that embraces all of our experience without rejecting any part. That awareness that observes both our gorgeous light and our terrible darkness, yet knows itself to be neither. It is that pure center, always aware, that is our true being. Our true center, our true self with a capital S. And it is not far-fetched for us to have to meditate 1,000,000 hours in faraway lands perched on top of mountains. It is not across the sea that we might say, who will go there and bring it to us. That awareness is right here, right now. Aware of this breath, aware of this thought, aware of this emotion. It is always here. It is always you. And in that space, in that center, is the calmness of being. The wholeness of self. The peace within. The shalom. Shalom. And it is from that place of wholeness, of great compassion and great love, that we invite those we know to be in need of healing into our hearts and into our minds. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, מי שברך אמותינו שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא יברך וירפא. Craig Wilson, Dan Klein, Daniel Clark, Hillary Wilson, Phyllis Levin, Mike Levin, Farhan Hassan, Sarah Menzer, Yitzchak Leib, Ben Bertha ve'Aharon, Eva Ansel, Dave Malkoff, Maxwell Bernard, Hirsch Simon, Susanna Davis, Stella Altwies, Elizabeth Heath, David Mark, Shaylee Cohen, Millard Petersky, Robin Friedman, Estelle Delson, Paula Walker, Susan Austin. And in our hearts we name the names of those in our lives, in our world, to be in need of healing. And we include them in this circle of prayer for healing. ימלא רחמים עליהם, לחזקם ולרפאותם ברפואה שלמה, רפואת הנפש, רפואת הגוף. Holy One of Being, heal their bodies, heal their hearts, heal their soul. יהיו לרצון. it is reluctantly that I am informing you that we have reached page 12 and the concluding moments of our service together. And as the lights come back into the sanctuary, I would like to invite you to please rise. And we say, we are the ones given this way of praising the Holy One of all being, that we might understand and express the greatness of the one who shapes all creation. We celebrate our uniqueness and that of others, and seek to discover the wonder that we are. Therefore, we bend the knees, we bow, and we proclaim our gratitude before the ruler of all rulers, the Holy One of all being. As it is said, then we shall truly realize the Eternal One as universal being. And on that day, the unity of being shall be celebrated by all. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leyotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו Before we continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 13, we take a moment to hold in our hearts the faces, the smiles of those we have known, those who have made their transition from this level of being and are continuing on their journey in other dimensions and levels. Those who have walked with us a little part of our journey. Those who have shared with us their struggles and their joys, their ups and their downs. In a moment of memory, we open our hearts to energies of compassion. We open our hearts to energies of forgiveness, of acceptance, of love. On this Shabbat, we hold in light of memory those in our community who have made their transition in recent days and weeks. Anne Koloff Klein, Pesha Klein's mother, who passed away a couple days ago. We hold in light of memory also the names of those who have made their transition in the past year. Ludic Elias, Nordy Cuban, Ira Moss, Jeff Timoney, Jerry Todd, A.J. Thompson, Timothy Bruce Lyons, John Corraney, Gordon Reeve Gould, Carl Heller, Steve Dorn, Julian Samuel Ansel, Demetrius Oliver Sullivan. And we also hold in light of memory those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their transition, coincides with this time of the year. Sheldon Klein, Joanne Levin, Murray Bernard, Harriet Oakley, Margaret Wilson Durham, and Aileen Mary Danker. And we name in our hearts the names of those we remember in this moment as we share the Mourner's Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash me Rabba, be'alma divera chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi shme Rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us, for all the household of Israel, and for all humankind. And let us say, Amen. And before we conclude with our final song, which will be a repeat of that last verse in the Mourner's Kaddish, the one calls us to awaken to peace and to wholeness, to shalom, I'd like just to say a couple things. First of all, tomorrow morning at 10:30 in this space, we're celebrating another one of our youngsters' bat mitzvah. Helen Golden, whom I've seen grown since she was here, has turned 13. And she will be leading prayer services tomorrow morning here and chanting from the Torah as we all celebrate her and welcome her into the Jewish community as an adult member. An adult member in the Jewish community is someone who can lead prayers and chant from the Torah. So we are welcoming her tomorrow into the circle of prayer. July 21st, a month from today, is our annual picnic. You're all invited. We're going to be in Seward Park, shelter number 2, which is my favorite one. It's just by the water, so the kids can always play in the lake. And come with whatever you want to grill and have fun with us. And it's always a delight to spend a few hours together in community. It's from 4 p.m. to dusk, Sunday, July 21st, a month from today. Yesterday was an important day in our world. It was World Refugee Day. It's a worldwide celebration that was actually created by the United Nations to mark the plight of refugees all over the world. Most of them nowadays are refugees from climate change. People who are no longer able to live where they are because it's unbreathable, because the pollution is too much, because the soil is getting dried up and nothing grows, and that turns into wars and violence, and people are fleeing anywhere they can, however they can, those places that are being devastated. In our country, we have resolved to keep them outside. We have resolved not to acknowledge that we are, those of us who live in the Northern Hemisphere, mostly responsible for climate change. That we are the ones responsible for the devastation that is tearing their countries apart. And in response to that, we are building walls. We're keeping those who are trying to cross miles and miles of harsh terrain with their kids, with their grandparents, with whatever they can carry. We are parking them in unsanitary detention centers. We are separating the little ones from their families and their parents. At Bet Alef, a few of us have decided to take a stand against that. We have paired up and become partners with HIAS, which is the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And we have a committee that is actually very active, and Lynn Carroll is leading it for us on behalf of Bet Alef. We have joined the Jewish Coalition for Immigrant Justice in Northwest, and their meetings have happened in our offices. We have also supported in the past year, a couple years, the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project, who provides legal assistance to incarcerated immigrants, and also the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network, who raises money to pay bonds for those detained immigrants, that they can get out of those detention centers and talk to lawyers so that they can find legal help as well. We have participated in their fundraisers, and there's another one coming up in November. And if you're looking for ways to help the plight of those people traveling across the planet, we are doing concrete actions here at Bet Alef. Lynn, if you want to please stand up so that people can know who you are. Come across, because everybody's standing up, so they might not see you. But Lynn has been incredible and incredibly active in leading the effort at Bet Alef. And if it's anything that you are connecting at the heart, in the heart, talk to Lynn. She needs your support, and every voice matters. And we are grateful for all the work you do. Thank you. Oseh Shalom, this is what we do. We are the bodies, we are the voices through which Shalom can manifest. Nobody else will do it but us. So the next song, it is upbeat because we're here to celebrate each other. Unless you want to change. Oh, we're doing the...
Vous oubliez le livre?
Say what?
Le livre?
Ah, le livre, j'ai oublié, yes. There is something else to mention. So, 2 weeks ago, was it already 2 weeks ago? We celebrated as a community the 10th anniversary of my ordination. And as part of that, Dianna Rose showed us a slideshow of some of those pictures that are now put together in this gorgeous book. It'll be available downstairs at the Oneg, and you can browse through it. It's just an incredible testimony of the few things you could put in there for 10 years of my work here. But what it has at the end is places to write things. If you want to leave a little message, write a little note that I will keep with me as I look through this book for the next 10 years, and then we'll see what we do in 10 years. So this is going to be downstairs. If you want to write a little something in the book, please feel free to do so. Osei Shalom. Let's keep our community be an instrument for peace in the world.
Alef.